episode of the Cougar Playbook podcast. I'm Macy Klein. Along with me, I've got my co-host, Carter Gledhill, and joining us today is CUC Strength and Conditioning Coach, Coach Ken Howard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing? Thanks so much for having me today.
Of course.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
No doubt.
So to kind of dive right in, with not being able to coach or lead any like lifts or workouts in person at least, how have you been holding up with that?
I've been holding up pretty well. I mean, as well as to be expected anyway. I mean, I think like this Zoom platform has been awesome. I think we went into the quarantine not expecting it to last as long as it did. But I think, speaking for myself, I picked up quite a few skills as far as like telehealth and being able to expand my reach to, student athletes like yourselves. Like we've had our fair share of team workouts, and then I've had like individual workouts with others too, like trying to congregate and bring all of the athletes together on Fridays for those 10 a.m. lifts. So I think that's been pretty awesome. That's something that we hadn't done in the past. So, I think, it's actually been good for us because it's forced us to think outside of the box. And, we're trying to implement a lot of exercises that you don't typically see in like the gym setting, right? Because everyone doesn't have equipment. So we've gone basically to like a body weight format. And for the most part, I think it's been fairly effective, all things considered.
Absolutely. And I think from the workouts that we have had over Zoom with like the women's basketball team, they are different, but they're really effective. And it's just nice to kind of see everybody still, even though we aren't able to be with each other in person. And I think that they've been going as well as like we can expect them to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know I attended the first couple, and I think it was definitely like when you have all this confusion going on and you're trying to figure out a routine, definitely having that 10 a.m. slot on the Friday was definitely something that I appreciated, because I was like, okay, at least I have something that until I can get the feet under myself and just get going with this whole quarantine thing. It was able to get my schedule up and going and keep focused while also staying fit.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? Just trying to find a rhythm and a routine that we can stick with, and something that we can adhere to, because even the best program isn't going to work if you don't stick to the process and adhere to it. So just having that accountability and just something that is going to be there for you, rain or shine, I think that's going to be key, like for anyone's success.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know from being an hour behind everybody, I have to get up like earlier than like the rest of my teammates. So that's definitely gotten me up in the morning and has helped me started my day, so I don't sleep until 12:30, which is good.
Yeah. Doing what college kids do.
Oh, yes,
Right.
Of course. So with that and like having the Zoom workouts and everything, how are you personally staying fit throughout this whole thing?
Well, I'm not sure if you guys knew this about me, but I actually started my whole fitness regimen, like what got me into strength and conditioning and into fitness as a whole. Like I started my fitness regimen at home, right? So I'm a product of like the Beachbody P90X program. So that was the program that really got me started into like fitness and like my own personal health and well-being, because I was an athlete in my younger days, right? But, life catches up to you, things aren't quite as easy. Like what Carter sort of alluded to, you kind of need that routine and that system to get you going. So being in this quarantine, man, I broke out my old P90X routines, and I have all of my equipment here at home. So I have my pull-up bar, I have some dumbbells, I have basically everything that I need to maintain my fitness regimen here. So I haven't missed a beat. So it's been really cool for me. I've been able to get back to my roots, for lack of a better word. This has been, it's been normal. The quarantine has been abnormal, but as far as like going back to my workout roots, that part has actually been normal and quite refreshing, because we beat ourselves up, and you guys can attest to this. We beat ourselves up in the gym and in the fitness center with heavy weights and, these loads that take a toll on our joints and just on our bodies. So having a chance to sort of deload and do some alternative type training it's really given me a chance to regenerate, and I actually feel fantastic now.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I mean, I think that's the same for all of us. We're just kind of getting back into like a nice calming routine and just kind of going back to just being calm and taking things slow and being able to just kind of appreciate like everything that we have and everything that like, you know, we used to do that now we don't have time to anymore.
Right.
So I think that's awesome that you've been getting back to like your old like routine and everything. And I know that that's going to be super effective in the long run. And one thing that Carter and I really wanted to talk to you about today was how you got into your passion of health and fitness. Like, you know, kind of, I know that May 4th is a very important day for you. Saw that Instagram post not too long ago about your kind of weight loss journey and losing 55 pounds. I mean, that's awesome. That's impressive. So how did you get into, like, how did you motivate yourself to do that?
You know, it's funny, right? Like, thank you for mentioning that. But so in 2008, so when I was you guys' age, like when I was in college, so my dad passed away. So, you know, and is in that moment, right? So that brought the rest of our family that much closer together. So fast forward to 2008, my mom passed away. So, you know, that sort of left me in a different, unique type of space. And, you know, I sort of let myself go. I mean, I didn't really, you know what was going on. And, you know, you wake up one day and you're out of shape, you know, you aren't satisfied with how you're living your life. You're kind of going through the motions. And, you know, it's a period of time from August of 2008 to May 2009 that I really don't remember. So like photos or like video, like it'll prove that I was there, but I don't really remember. So I just remember, you know, being up one night, you know, it's 3 in the morning, you know, I'm watching these infomercials and, you know, I'm really in a very vulnerable space. And I see this infomercial for like this weight loss program, this P90X program. I'm like, well, I don't have anything to lose. You know, like at this point, I'm on a downward spiral. So I really need to do something just to sort of reclaim my life and to, you know, add some sort of accountability to it. And, you know, I was a basketball athlete and, you know, my training was nothing like accustomed to, or, you know, the person that you guys know as Coach Ken in the weight room. I wasn't, I was Coach Ken, but I was coaching basketball and I had a desk job, right? So it was totally, totally different. So, you know, I go into this workout program just thinking, all right, it'll just give me something to do to keep my mind off of, keep it from wandering, right? From all of the demons or like whatever it was that I was dealing with. And, you know, it's like I realized my passion in those moments. So like I started May 4th, 2009 was when I took my before photos. And yeah, I mean, that took me on the journey, and, you know, and it gave me something to do. I mean, I fell in love with fitness. I fell in love with myself again, and it really gave me a reason to wake up every day, and it gave me something to look forward to every day. And, you know, I was watching my body transform, and before you know it, you know, people are asking me for fitness advice. I mean, I'm, you know, no certifications, no, you know, no knowledge of fitness. I'm just following these DVDs. So that prompted me to want to learn as much as I could, right? So from there, I obtained a fitness certification to be a personal trainer. You know, that turned into 2, that turned into 3, and then that turned into, okay, I think I want to own my own gym. So, you know, I go into this business for myself. I owned an Anytime Fitness franchise for a number of years. So I did that from 2011 to 2017. And, you know, it was at that time that you know, by that time I have achieved all of this other stuff, right? So, you know, Beachbody acknowledged my transformation. I was a Beachbody fitness transformation finalist in 2013. They took me to Vegas. You know, I won $25,000. I was on stage. You know, they used me in a lot of their promo material. So I'm like, you know what, man, this is kind of cool. You know, like I did something to really improve myself. And I realized my true passion was helping others achieve their goals too. So like my initial clients were fitness and weight loss clients. And I sort of parlayed that into, you know, let me really work with the athletic population because that's where my heart was, right? So it took a lot of years of learning, a lot of years of trial and error, you know, and just a lot of experimentation, like with myself, even to see what works and what doesn't, and a lot of books and a lot of certifications, a lot of hours studying, and I got my shot. And you know, I think that's, you know, that's a testament to what hard work will do and like what persistence will do. But that got me on my personal journey, and then now I get just as much joy out of my own journey as I do helping you guys achieve a lot of your athletic goals too. Like I think that's what keeps my fire burning now. Like, you know, watching, you know, meeting new people, you know, helping them achieve their goals, and to help, you know, help Carter be a better baseball player, help Macy be a better basketball player. And just, you know, that filters into other areas of life as well, right? Because when you're physically fit and you're mentally healthy, it sort of brings everything together, you know, assuming that there's some sort of spiritual foundation there too. It sort of brings everything full circle. I know that was a long answer, but, you know, I'm sorry about that.
No,
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
that's exactly what we want. Like, I mean, that's
I
such
mean,
an
yeah. I mean,
inspiring
let's take a
story.
look at. Hold on, let's see if I can find the picture real quick. There you go. I mean, like that right there. I think a lot of people know you, like you said. Coach Ken is the weight room guy. Coach Ken is the basketball coach. But like, I think we had a short conversation one time in the weight room about this, about
Yeah.
like your P90X. I'm like, wait, no way, P90X. Like I've seen those things before. I've seen them before. But then to see this on Instagram, I think that brought full circle to everything. And like, obviously, like I like when you talked about like getting over the mental hurdles. I mean, now more than ever, especially with the whole quarantine thing, that is such a focus on the mental health, and definitely it's an inspiration for other people, I would say too, who are struggling with the at-home regimen, or athletes that can't find a way to stay motivated. Like if you're looking for something, like this is definitely a way you can look at and say, hey, he turned a negative in his life and he turned it out to be, I think, a pretty astounding positive for sure.
Yeah, you guys have done your homework. That's an oldie but goodie. I like that though. But you know, it's the thing about that, guys, is that, you know, I was very reluctant. I was very reluctant to show like those before photos, and so much gets lost, like just thinking about what's next, right? Instead of just enjoying the journey and like taking part in the journey. So I didn't start the program with, okay, one day I'm going to be a head strength and conditioning coach at Concordia University, right? That wasn't my intention. Like my intention was, I'm going to turn over a new leaf and I'm going to try to be a better person, like for myself. And that was my initial motivation going into that. And even when I achieved my fitness goals, you know, I wasn't gung ho about sharing those photos like to the world, right? But you know, it's brought to my attention that, hey, man, somebody just might need to hear that story, right? And it's funny how when something is meant for you, how it just seems to take care of itself, like pieces fall into place. So I sent in my photos to Beachbody, and I got an email back right away, like within 10 minutes. Like, wow, you know, this transformation is awesome. Would you mind filling out or completing a written questionnaire, or like a written confessional or written testimony? Yeah, sure. So, you know, they sent me this questionnaire. It was 11 questions. Shout out to Allison at Beachbody. You know, I completed the questionnaire. I sent it in, and she's like, wow, you know, like when, I guess when they tied in the whole thing about my folks and, you know, the things that I was going through, that, you know what, we really would like a video testimonial from you. So I'm like, all right, bet. they sent me a flip cam. I know you guys probably don't even remember those, but like they emailed, they FedEx me a flip cam and asked me to record myself taking these answering the questions. So I did that. I recorded myself over the weekend, sent, and I mean, within a couple of days, I get a call from like the senior editor in Beachbody's Success Story program. They called me. It was 8:30 at night, which is like 6:30 Pacific time, and it's like, oh, we really would like to meet you. And at the time, I was dating my wife who lived in California at the time. I'm like, well, I'll be out there in a week, and cool, we'll come on down. So they arranged for me to come by the studio, and even out of the P90X, like the infomercial people, like I was actually at Beachbody headquarters, right? And they introduced me to Tony Horton. They surprised me with Tony Horton. I met some of the other people like from the staff, and they really like rolled out the welcome mat for me, and it made me feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the light bulb just goes off and it just confirms that all of the hard work that you put into something, it really is going to pay off. And even when you talk about my arrival at CUC, so this was before you guys got to campus. So my initial position at CUC was a volunteer. So the old head men's basketball coach, Randy Rogers, I contacted him through someone in the graduate program. I got his contact information, and my question was, can I just come to campus, meet you guys, and see how you guys lift in the weight room? Because I'm an aspiring strength coach. I'd like to see how you guys complete your weightlifting sessions. Well, lo and behold, there was no strength coach on campus. So it's like, well, if you want to come by, just come on by. And well, I looked at that as an opportunity. Well, let me work with a few of you guys and see if it's something that you might want to consider doing full time. So he told me, invited me to campus. I met him. I worked out a couple of the guys there. They've graduated and moved on by now, but he brought me on as an assistant basketball coach in 2017. So just knowing my basketball coaching history, so I'm his assistant basketball coach, and I'm working with the basketball team in the weight room. And things happen. The position opened up for the head strength coach job. He walked me into the office, told me to apply for it. I did, and the rest is history. But my point is, I was willing to give and volunteer, right? And like that, those blessings have been returned to me like tenfold, because now I'm in a position that I really enjoy and I love, and I actually look forward to going to work every day. So I mean, I don't think everybody can say that. So I understand I'm in a very blessed position, and again, to be able to help people achieve their fitness goals, whether that be performance, weight loss, or just feeling better, I think that's crucial. And I mean, it's something that I don't take lightly at all.
I think you do. Like, as a strength coach, you have to work with definitely a lot of different personalities, because you have heavy lifting football players, baseball players who are built for muscle and they need to get stronger. But then you're also working with, for example, volleyball players and the dance team as well, who are using different muscle groups, they're using different techniques. So how do you sculpt workouts around for those specific teams?
Yeah, well, it's called a needs analysis, Carter. So like when you examine a certain athlete, right, you have to understand what is it that they're trying to do. Because as a strength coach, it's not my job to build athletes into physique athletes or power lifters or bodybuilders, right? Like if you're baseball, we need to let's talk about baseball. Well, what do you guys need? You guys need linear speed for 60 yards, right? Or 60 feet. Or maybe you need that speed going from first to third when someone hits a triple, right? You need that rotational power to swing the bat. You need to be able to throw overhead, right? So like you identify the components that go into a certain sport. And now your goal is to just design a workout program that's gonna bring out those qualities, over time. So when you talk, and I know Coach Collin does an excellent job with you guys, but you guys will do a lot less plyometric work than say volleyball, even though you guys do include plyometrics as part of your workout. But how many times do you really jump up and down like in a game, right? Like you guys are more like boots to the ground, where volleyball, I mean, they might make 100 ground contacts in a game. So they have to be prepared for that. So like in addition to building around the physical demands of a sport, you also have to sort of build for resiliency, right? Like my goal is to have you guys as robust as you can to withstand the rigors of your sport, right? You're a catcher, so you're in that crouch position all the time, right? So what can I do to help Carter maintain erect posture when he's not in his sport, right? Or what can I do to help his back to not hurt? Or Macy, what can I do to help her knees not collapse when she's landing? So it's teaching landing mechanics, it's teaching safety, right? Because you guys can be the best athlete on the field or on the court, but if you're injured, you can't play a second. So like the goal is, okay, how can we make these athletes robust and strong enough to withstand their program or the rigors of their season? And then what does their sport require of them? And now we just build around that. So the, and the acute variables, I mean, so a lot of the lifts are the same, but the variables are different, right? If you're lifting for endurance, that's a whole different set and rep count than if you're lifting for power or for strength. So just understanding those dynamics, it's easy to sort of just plug those numbers in, right? And just let the program work for you. Because I think that's really where a lot gets lost. Like I think people see the fancy things like on Instagram or some of these social media platforms and they think, oh, this is awesome, this is great. Well, yeah, that might be great for that person, but is that great for you, like as an athlete, right? So like it's identifying what's required of that sport, and not just that sport, but that particular position that you play, and then designing your program around that. And I think, when you keep that as your goal and your focus, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. So just a little transition now. I think besides your love for fitness, I think there's one person that we know, especially at CUC, that you love more, and that's definitely Tupac. I don't think there's ever a day where we don't hear a little Tupac in the weight room. So for the people that for the viewer, I know a little bit about him, but for the people that might not understand old school rap or hip hop, what does Tupac mean to you? And what does he mean? Just how has he affected your life?
Oh, that's a tough one. How much time do we have? Right. So Tupac, and you can't really mention Pac without mentioning Big, but that was just an era of music that really helped to define my life, right? Like something you guys probably also didn't know is that I had a career as a hip hop artist too. So like I was part of a rap group when I was in college, and I released a couple solo projects. Matter of fact, in my recording studio now, I have a studio in my basement. So just that era, like early 90s, like hip hop, it just defined an era. And, Pop was very instrumental in just the message that he had in his music. And I think, he's just one of those people that, that's gone too soon. Like, he had so much to offer the world, and just his viewpoints and what he stood for. I think he was more of a revolutionary, but he was a scholar, right? And it was something that I didn't understand as much when I was living through it, because, I didn't know the man like the way I've gotten to know him posthumously, right? Like, you read the books and you see the documentary, and, you sort of get the backstory on a lot of things that were going on that I wasn't privy to. Like at the time, I was just a fan of his music. So, he's definitely a legend in the game. I think, if he's here now, a lot of things would be different as far as, just the hip hop industry, but sometimes you can't be afraid to voice your opinion and speak out on the things that matter to you for the sake of preserving something that doesn't belong to you anyway. Right. So I think his fearlessness in expressing himself vocally and about a lot of the social injustices that were going on at the time then, and even to this day, like if we're being honest, but he wasn't afraid to speak out on that. And, sadly, he was taken from us too early, same thing with Notorious Big, but his legacy lives on forever. And I think he listened to a lot of his music. I think he knew his time was coming. So, he sort of predicted it in a lot of his songs. And I don't know if that's just a matter of life imitating art, or art imitating life, depending on how you want to look at it. But, he definitely, in my opinion, he thought his days were numbered. So he really put a lot into his music, and it still lives today. So that's just something that, it's tough. Um, it's tough for me to ignore that, right? And I think his message lives forever. I think people can learn a lot from, not just what he spoke about in his music, but just about who he stood for, like as a person.
Absolutely. And I know for sure it's not a Coach Ken workout unless he's got his boom box and his Tupac playing in the back. For sure.
Right. Tupac Tuesdays.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. But I think just last closing point here. I mean, you're talking about involvement at CUC. As working the basketball games as I have, I mean, I don't think I saw a game without you sitting behind the Cougars on the bench, just sitting there. So I feel anywhere there's a sporting event, if there's on live stream, if it's on, Geisman or on the football field, Coach Ken is always somewhere. I think that's definitely an outlet that it's another level that you go to be on the same level as the athletes. Because I definitely think one thing I know for me is that you get the coach in the weight room, but you also get the coach off that's actually supporting you. And I think that's an awesome just relationship that you've developed with all the athletes at CUC.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I tell everybody, Carter and Macy, and you've heard me say it in the weight room, is you have to commit to the process, right? Like everybody wants to be great, but it's a process to being great. Just like it's a process to losing weight, it's a process to being fit, it's a process to being a great athlete. Commit to the process. So part of that process for me is understanding what makes you guys tick as far as your sport goes, right? So I don't want it to be, well, I'm just barking orders in the weight room. Let me watch you guys like manifest your abilities like on the field or on the court. And, that's an outlet for you guys to like really be alive and to shine and to have your moment, right? And going to the games is worth it. It's worth it for me. Actually, it's mandatory. It's not mandatory, but I wouldn't want the job if I couldn't actually get to watch you guys put all of the pieces together, that I actually have a part in contributing to watch you guys actually play it out on the field or on the court or whatever. And it also gives me a different line of sight to say, man, okay, I see where I need to tweak my own personal programming to say, okay, well, Macy really struggles with her lateral movement, going left, but maybe we can work on that. Or, maybe we can put a couple inches on, on Carter's vertical jump, or whatever the case might be. It's like it gives me a chance to watch you in your element. And that's what's important, right? It's piecing it all together. So looking at it from a holistic standpoint, where it's not just the weight room, it's the classroom, it's the practice field, it's the actual game. So like when you're able to put all of that together, it really makes my job that much easier. And I know how important it is to just have people around to support you. And then it's to say, well, look, man, I don't just care about what happens in the weight room. I care about you guys as people, right? And I want to see you shine. And you guys work so hard, I owe it to you guys to show up and watch you take advantage of your opportunity to play, because, everybody doesn't play college athlete. I mean, everybody's days are numbered, right? You're gonna play your last game like one day. And it's just really cool for me to have that opportunity to be able to watch you guys and to create some of those memories and watch you at your best. You know what I mean? Like that's very fulfilling for me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I know you've impacted like all of the student athletes at Concordia. Definitely, I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better throughout this conversation that we've had, and just how inspiring it is that you want to help us be better, and not just, like you said, not just in the weight room, but you want to see us like succeed within our sport. And I think that should be every strength and conditioning coach's mission statement, because I mean, that you're there and you love it, and you can tell that you're passionate about it throughout like your lifts and like talking to us. I mean, talking to us right now, and
Right.
like how you want to inspire others, and you're very dedicated to like the whole athletics department at CUC, which I think is amazing.
Thank you. Thank
So
you. I appreciate
Yeah.
you guys bringing me on. I think this has been great. I mean, yeah, why not? I think it's an honor to be on this thing with you guys. So thank you so much for having me on board today.
of course, it was awesome talking to you, and thank you again for sharing your whole journey. I mean, again, that's just awesome.
Yeah, for
So
any
I,
of our viewers that want to stay with Coach Ken, make sure to follow him on Instagram. Very entertaining Instagram account.
Very
Coach Ken True Howard. Give him a little shout out there. So make sure you follow him.
yeah, and kudos to you guys too, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys have big dreams and stuff, but I'm just gonna tell you, don't give up, man, because I know sports is sports, and we all love our sports, but you two have a future in broadcasting. If I've ever seen two people that deserve it, it's definitely you two. And watching the game is one thing, but being able to tune in and listen to you guys give the play-by-play and the color, I think that's awesome. You guys are fantastic, and to just be freshmen and so talented at that, I think the future is so bright for you guys, and I can't wait to see what's next for you two.
well. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. All right. Thank you for tuning in to all of our viewers. This is the second episode of the Cougar Playbook podcast. Next week, we're going to sit down with football coach, Coach Aubrey, and get a little inside scoop on the upcoming fall season. So take care, everybody. Stay healthy. And as always, go Cougars.